Find the latest Godzilla figures and more. Link in the description down below. Big Bad Toy Store has your cover. So what are you waiting for? Get those Godzilla figures right now. Link in the description down below. Hello everybody, I'm back with another package and it's time to find out what it is. That's one. So I think I have an idea of what this could be, but I'm not totally sure. Okay, so wait, I don't remember getting this. That is so weird. Totally weird. Okay, I know what it is now. Okay, so apparently I bought this by accident. I thought I canceled my order because you guys already know that I told you that I wasn't going to be buying this specific package right here, this specific figure, and of course you guys can get your toys at bigbadtoystore.com right here. Godzilla figures, Transformers, whatever you want. So, interesting package. You have Mothra and Rodan. Okay, I was not expecting this. I really wasn't. I guess I forgot to cancel my order. And that makes sense as to why I was missing money. That makes sense. I think I already messed it up. Okay, that's one. Okay, very interesting. So that's it for right now, and I'll be back with my review on those figures right here. Rodan definitely looks bigger than the NECA version, and Mothra looks smaller. Interesting. I'll be back, guys, with my thoughts. This is it for the unboxing. Okay, guys, I'm back. So after analyzing Mothra and Rodan, this is what I think about them. So you do have your traditional Rodan figure right here, and articulation for me is limited on his wing. On the right side for me, it would be left for you guys. Left for you, right for me. You guys hear how it cracks. With this wing, not really. So this one you can move his wing all the way down. This wing seems to have trouble, and you can see how it's not fully going down as I would like to. Maybe some hot water will do the trick. But yeah, his articulation is this pretty much. Now I will say that this figure is bigger than the NECA. It has more articulation. You can turn his head all the way down and all the way up. His mouth, that's as much as it can open. I am surprised because I thought I'd be able to open a lot more, and it turns out this is as much as his mouth goes, and I'm not going to force it anymore because, believe it or not, if you thought NECA figures, Rodan and Mothra were already delicate, I feel like the MonsterArts are worse. They feel like they're about to break on my hands, and I don't know. I just don't want to force them that much, but you can go side to side with his head. So overall, this already has good articulation than the NECA version in some parts. Now for the body articulation, you can go down, up, side to side if you want to. So that's already good articulation with this Rodan in terms of body detail. You can move it a little bit side to side. Not much articulation there. Legs, you can move them all the way backwards and forwards. So you do have a good amount of articulation right here, but again, this figure feels very, very delicate when it comes to handling this figure, and it's done in a, I want to say he's more reddish than the NECA version. The NECA version feels and looks like a much darker version, and in light it looks a lot red, and I do like that. And for those people asking to customize this figure, I will not be customizing this figure. I don't see any point of having two versions of the same figure. I want to keep each figure as it is for right now, meaning the Monster Arts won't receive any changes. I'm already happy with what I have in terms of NECA and Monster Arts. Now you have two extra stands. One of them is for Rodan and Mothra, and you have this extra piece right here that pegs onto this section right here. All you have to do is place Rodan like this. I believe it's not the safest, I will say that. It doesn't feel safe. It has the same problem as the NECA version. It moves, but you get the idea. It's meant to keep your Rodan in this pose, flying, ready to take off. So in a way it does its job, but is it really secure? No, it's not secure. You guys can see how it balanced. The balance is not the best. Extra piece, and this, all you have to do is deattach this extra piece and attach this one for Rodan. So it has a claw type of design, and this one you can use it to pose Rodan in this type of position right here. So once you have him in position, all you gotta do is close the claw, and that's it. It's not the best. You guys can see it's not the best. You have to handle this with a lot of care and be careful how you pose him, or else he's gonna balance forwards. So there you go. That's the basics of it. So you guys get the idea. It's meant to keep your Rodan figure in a flying forwards position, but it's not the best if you lean it backwards a lot, because the figure is kind of heavy and it's gonna tilt. So I do recommend you to be careful with both the figure and the stand, but it does its job if you want to pose them in different ways. Me personally, I think I'm going to pose them with this. It feels much secure than using this one right here. This, you know, it just doesn't feel balanced enough and not secure. Again, I think they did a fantastic job capturing his design for Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's a very, very good design. The head sculpture, the body texture, it's really good. And this version feels like a time where Rodan didn't have any lava throughout his body. You guys can see that his wings have no sign of lava or fire at all. He is a reddish Okay, it's time to talk about Mothra. So I noticed a few problems with her. Number one, she is very tiny compared to the NECA version and even Rodan. And in some ways she feels very fragile. She feels like if you don't handle her with double the care, she's going to break on you. Maybe you're going to break some ball joints. Pieces could be lost. And if you thought NECA was already messy enough with their fragile figures and Mothra was super tiny, you were complaining about how she keeps on breaking, this feels worse. And if I'm being completely honest, the quality on her wings feel a lot cheaper. Articulation and all that, that's perfect. Now look at her legs. They look very cheap. They're bending just by touching it like that. If you thought the NECA Mothra was worse in terms of articulation, material wise. This feels to me cheaper. Like, I'm being totally honest. It feels like a super soft vinyl. Now, from what I can tell on the instructions, supposedly it says she has leg articulation, but there doesn't seem to be any for me. Now, for her wings are very beautiful, very colorful, and all of that, but they're lacking with detail. Her wings really do remind me of the Jack Specific Mothra, where it wasn't real detail what she had on her wings. It was more like a 3D printer or like a 3D sticker that was slapped on her wings and they call it a day. It feels pretty much like that. When you compare the Monster Arts to NECA, on the NECA version, you can see real details. You can feel the details, the texture. You can see how it's translucent. And this being more expensive than a NECA figure feels like a totally downgrade compared to NECA. That is me being completely honest. If you don't like my opinion, I understand, but I have to be honest to people that are watching this review. For articulation, it is fantastic, like I told you. For people that were not satisfied with NECA, this will definitely satisfy everyone with wing articulation. The bottom is really good. The top wings are fantastic as well. But I did run into some problems and I noticed that it kept on falling off for me. The top and the bottom wing of the ball joint kept on falling off. Another problem that I ran into was her legs. Her legs didn't seem to move, and I'm sure that's because there's paint stuck on it, or probably the articulation is very stiff. But I don't want to risk forcing the legs anymore because it feels like if I move it too much, I'm going to break those legs. They feel so delicate. Just by my pinky or any type of movement, it feels like they're going to break on me. Second problem I ran into is one of her claws or whatever you call it, right? This one right here keeps on falling off a lot for me. For some reason, every time I move it or I want to pose it in some type of cool pose, it keeps on falling off, and I noticed it's not the best for me. Keep in mind, all figures can be different from mine to yours. Yours can have better articulation. Mine could have better wings. Yours can have worse articulation in some areas. But you do have movement on the body. You guys can see right there that her body does move around. But her legs, you guys see that her legs, it seems like they're moving, but not really. It feels like more plastic, like soft vinyl that's moving, and then it goes back into its original pose. And the body movement, it's that good. You know, it's good enough. It's not gonna be like super amazing. It moves up and down, side to side, and that's about it. Just look at the body. I will say that her body does look like it has a lot of details. It really does. It packs a lot of details. But when it comes to her face design, and you guys just saw that, that's what I'm talking about. That's the one leg or pincer, whatever, that keeps falling off. Look, I don't want to be negative, but it looks like they took one good step forwards with good articulation and two backwards with bad plastic or bad material used on this figure. And I heard, I'm not gonna say who, but someone told me that Monster Arts was in such rush to get the Godzilla King of the Monsters line as fast as possible, and in fact they were the first company to reveal the Monster Arts figures to the public at Comic-Con Brazil, I believe. So it kind of makes sense. And oh my god, look at that face. What is that face? It looks so ugly. It looks like a cockroach had a baby with a moth or a butterfly. I told you guys, I am not a fan of her color. I am not a fan of her face. Like, what is this? Honestly, just look at that. For sure, she's going to be customized. I'm not going to leave this Mothra like that. Rodan, he's perfect. I think the only perfect figure right here out of this 2-pack is Rodan, and it feels like they forced us to get a 2-pack just because everyone wanted Rodan. Mothra, such disappointment for me. Good articulation and all that, but like I told you, material wise, cheap. Articulation is good and all, but oh man, they could have done so much better. She's supposed to be like an angel, very beautiful, majestic, and it feels the opposite. It feels like a cockroach, ugly color, Even that brown color looks so ugly, like the Bandai version that was uncompleted. Like it was not even painted. Like, come on, Monster Arts. Honestly, it feels like Monster Arts is getting lazy throughout the years. What happened to those premium figures where they used to be $170 and you would get good premium figures? Now enjoy the rest of the video.